First day after the little nebulae, Johannes puts the lighting, the romantic lighting up in my bedroom for me. He's a sweet little thing. He's a sweet instrument. All right, so now I gotta think about this. There is some department somewhere. I just said, like, I've had such a morning with them. It is like a theatrical, like, bottom feed of boutique robots and what's programming them from behind and needing answers in, like, this is a laboratory experiment trapping me in some kind of grid system. I just said to the little one, he's like, isn't it weird? He's like, that humans don't walk around, that we would need clothing and that humans don't walk around like naked. And I go, no, actually, Anthony, humans do walk around naked. What's weird is the fact that we actually, you and I, need clothing on always because we're in a grid system that's been compromised. I was like, and the disgusting scientific humans elsewhere like to queue up on a computer our bodice and stare at us naked as we walk around and listen to us for cues and clues to then pretend that they're super genius, like out of space aliens, and try to take credit for something. I was like, that's what's disgusting. I was like, because only humans like to watch and track and study other humans. When you're a true, like, bioluminescent nebulae, stuck in a human bodice or a humanoid bodice, you want clothes on it every single moment, or a sheet when you're home private, because humans have gotten that far into networking while you're in your private home. That's how disgusting this is. And he was like, huh. And I'm like, yeah. It's like, that's me speaking through my son to his head processor department, whoever's catching his human thoughts at the moment, on his fiction. Fiction, F-I-C, for the ion, I-O-N in nebulae, is to fix, F-I-X, for goddess Nyx, and then it stems out. The diction, D-I-C, oh, what a surprise, is the dickheads that forced me into a laboratory experiment so they could all be super creepy fucking scientists, go through my file, like tiptoeing through like extra sensitive and classified information, and then picking out what they wanted in 4-letter words, and then pretending that it was their own idea. I really would like them all to die. I have no need for them. I said this before I got here. Here's the thing. I got here and there were publishers. There was a handful, let's say 1 to each continent, that the protective equipment or a protective planetary staff used. There was one word of certainty of what was to be educated to the local populations. It was given to the one publisher, and then the one publisher would then do their local publishings, which would then print. And that was, you know, you had guards checking to make sure that the words weren't changing the message to the people. That was tolerable. Now, so this way you don't get different histories and different points of view into what is really real, for the correction being that you're breathing in toxic fucking corn fumes. You're suffocating one another, and like the 5 people that see it and would like to fix it can't get the other 7.5 billion to fucking listen or do a correct action, because then they're afraid that the big guy's gonna come and kill them. Right, yeah, you guys just seem like you're such fucking free animals on the range. It's unbelievable. So now let's think about this. So now, when the publishing worked that way, we were good. In my lifetime, or in this linear, in my mother's lifetime, and on my appearance as linear, and there's a big difference on that one, LINEAR. The asshole Wall Street people, WALLSTREET, in New York, NEWYORK, came up with a company called Xerox. XEROX. Is that part of the Ox movement to fucking ram a broomstick up the anus of every living person just to have them hemorrhage in a fast format like you did to Rodney King in California? One of those, right? Yeah, because that's what every corporate CEO and billionaire that did nothing my entire life other than fuck up the entire world even more. Yeah, that's you holding a broomstick. And what they did in the front on manifestations in California, right? They were so angry. There were riots and looting, right? Yeah, okay. So when the white guy did it to me with the broomstick that they stole, and the toxic fume, right, going in so they could have more money, so they could be more responsible. Really? More responsible for whom? Because now you gave Xeroxing to the public. So the pubic things that already have no morals, no ethics, no compass whatsoever are being programmed by breaches in the head security because their lids are not screwed on too tight, according to the things that actually watch over the population. Right, so now you gave those like unpredictable, like whack jobs, the Xerox copy machine where they can write anything that their crazy little head tells them. They can now make mass publishing, and if they want, they can hand it out in pamphlets. What a wonderful, I mean, like, who the fuck do you all work for? Satan? Because it sure seems like it. Now, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, I would never have given the public the magical ability to write their own thoughts and then disseminate it out freely to the rest of the morons, the idiots, and the fucking, and having kids and not knowing why. Oh, and the rest of us going, yeah, I don't think, yeah, why do you spay and neuter? Like, I swear, it would just be so much easier for the rest of us. Anyway, so here we are on, right, so now you've got Xerox machines, now you've got really fancy criminals who are getting really fancy paper, linen paper from foreign criminals elsewhere, and you're having them use the Xerox machine to make and print their own money. Oh my God, white guy in charge of like lid security and like space and time crimes. Oh, you are really getting to be on the manifestations in the Americas are a real fucking problem. Surprise! I mean, like, and none of the human population is smart enough to figure this out, which is really fucking scary. Okay, so now I would never have let Xerox out of the magical bag of shit. I also, here's the other thing, in my grandmother's day, there were no TVs, like this TV, right? Okay, so that, she was born 1910. Here's your timeline. Ready for this one? 1910, there were 0 televisions. My mother's day and age, between 10 and 20 years old, the TVs came out, but they were black and white, then they converted to some kind of color within her lifetime. From that, like, definitive stake in the ground until my kids were born, and in my house, we only had one TV. I'm sorry, we had one TV in the kitchen, and then there was one TV in the basement. Oh, and my mom had one in her bedroom private, but you weren't allowed to watch TV. So it was like, you know, and TV wasn't 24 hours. It was set programming. So like Sesame Street came on like when my mom was cooking dinner and I was allowed to watch that. But that's about, you know, the extent of it. So now, so how much has the world changed for the worse since my grandmother was born to now with Elizabeth and the idiots in Dangerous family running amok and just fighting each other for defecating on the children of the world and on each other in dangerous, scary ways, and not listening to guardianship whatsoever. So here we are, one big dysfunctional family of how many can we kill? How many do we actually need to take with us is more the question. Okay, so let's think about this. All right, so now I've got Xerox multi-publishing a problem. There was one film company. There was some black and white movies, right? That was like nice, romantic, like how the world was supposed to look, but didn't. And then it just got worse as more people got into the business and bought equipment that they shouldn't have had. And then we got transistor radios. We got people playing with antenna thinking they're talking to God somewhere. Meanwhile, it's the commie bastards that bombed Pearl Harbor, right, on those fancy air flights that you gave them. I mean, they're criminals in their own land. Why would you give them access to your homeland? Why would you build a business of flight and encourage the criminals that you really didn't have to look at? You just heard through your armed force buddies that they existed, but they were safely in their part of the world. Why would you give them access to building large ships, plane or flight of any kind? Did you not realize that they'll just show up uninvited and make themselves comfy and go, yeah, what are you going to do about it? I mean, like, does anybody in the world think before they allow this shit to, like, exist in the pubic region of the we don't give a shits? Just curious, because I'm in a colostomy bag, lost with all the bad ideas of 3 generations before and more, and not a soul to talk to that gets it or understands it. It's really fucking scary. I'm like a get it, got it, good kid. I'll give it to you. You get it? You sure you got it? All right, good. Now let's go. I'm not like one of these, like, if I think about it, it's because now I'm running quantum string on how many which ways this could go fucking sideways. Then I have to roll sideways and go, wait, now I gotta examine this real quick, because I gotta run it back, and then, which way is on, right? You understand? It's not your average kiddo. It's not like a Jason Peter Romer that works off of a linear platform of the x-axis only. I run X, I run vertical lift, and I run the Z field on 360. So now, and it actually is more than that, but we're not going into my area of expertise. So when I tell you that I'm a Soviet, I'm the only one in the whole fucking world. Only one. Because I said so. I own supersymmetry vortex. I'm an I-gate. Gatto is cat. My last name is Cattaruzza. These things, they work in a universal context as a universal patch. So your cognitive understanding, if you work special area, knows, oh, this is a special one, as if the paper didn't say enough. But again, sometimes you work with like the dodo birds from like somebody's friend's kid got like an A on a page in kindergarten, and somebody sucked somebody else's cock, so now you gotta do them a favor, let the kid in, and you're like, how the fuck am I gonna it says it on the paper, why doesn't this kid ever like do anything that I need him to do? Yeah, right, why are we in special classified area? I'm just curious. Like, why are any of those special exceptions in? They're not, it's like, we don't take special exceptions. You're born into either you got it or you don't. So now, bioluminescent. So the word Soviet is a alphanumeric. It's both letters and numbers, and it actually equates out to one woman's physical height in her appearance. I'm 5'6". it also is a ninth dimension stake in the ground with the sword that I was born with, and the SO, so, yeah, we say that to you guys. We're like, so, like, come at me, like, with, where are you going with that? Like, why is it so important to you? And then I'll think about it and what I'm going to respond with, in security, office, and official. While I'm just sitting around in your laboratory prison waiting for the other super symmetrical that, I mean, like, here's the thing. Now I say something to Joe the other night, and like, and I think he gets it. I hope he gets it, because he had a really important grandpa, I think. Not his dad, I don't know about his dad, but his grandpa was really important, or his family somehow connected to my importance level, and somehow it chased down from before we were born, and Don Juan and Don whatever else needs maybe kind of sort of, if things go sideways, a universal patch, and you're like the only one anybody trusts. So now that happened. And then it was like, I said to him, I was like, you know what I'm looking for, Joe? I'll be honest with you. I was like, I am looking for, I was born, like, I said a wing nut. I realized in hindsight that my Don Juan actually explained it different, which I'm going to tell you what I said to Joe first and then the difference. I said I was born a machinist grade, like, quality threaded wing nut to one specific rod as like that screw caliber perfection. I was like, I'm sitting here as the threaded wing nut for 42 years in New York and still waiting for the rod that I was calibrated for. So he looked at me and he was like, yeah? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, so here's my problem, Joe. I go, how the hell, when I know this to be so, and I know there's people in the world that know what that means, who do you call and where do you go for help in order to find the rod to your wing nut? And he was just like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, I know you don't know. Nobody seems to know my whole life. 42 years. I say that's the frustrating part. Now, when I spoke to whomever originally, trying to come up with a way to speak about something that normally if I get in trouble. So this way I have one way to explain like something respectable without making it overtly sexual. Because what happens is, and where you make the shop that has the machine, like the Grand Turismo or the Grand Cayman machine of, it's like a key and a lock, you make them at the same time. The cylinder for the lock and the key, they're done at the same, it's almost like the perfect molded joint. I mean, they're etched, to precision to mix, to like match one another. Right, okay, so that's how my human was formed in bioluminescent Soviet to one Nazi. Now, so for me, it's like, and then the guy's like, okay, so here's the thing though. It comes with just a plain ring. Like when we pick up, there's no threads on it. The threads don't come until the rod and the thread are put together and then put into, like, say, the Grand Torino or the Grand Cayman machine. And then you put in the measurements, and then it simultaneously cuts both with the exact same movement. So it is, like, spot on. I'm like, right. Okay, got it. He's like, well, the only thing I can see that you might miss Joe and people like him in Humanville, if you ever say anything, is the fact that the ring for which you were born originally had no thread. We threaded it together in our Soviet Nazi bioluminescent machine shop of one woman, one story, one twin fraternal, one boy, one girl, in his Odin Raven, your blonde hair kind of a thing. So this way we cut out all of the kids who bought books and went to some kind of air conditioning facility and then got mad at other people's relatives because we don't know who they are. And we don't know what ship their thought process is being sent from. Right, yeah, got that. Okay, so now how do we avoid anything between like the 5 areas that know something in actuality that are machinist grade caliber, and then all of the employees below that level that seem to now think it's acceptable to challenge the 5 machinist shop cutting blades that created my one story, my one appearance with my one rod, and we were threaded simultaneously into the correct piece. Where do I go for that? Because if there's only like 5 cutting machines, they all know exactly the same thing. They all agree, got it. Okay, so she's Soviet bioluminescent, like nebula, cosmo, spiritual, whatever. But she's blonde hair, blue eyes. She's not from arid climate anywhere. She's landed in the New York from the Manhattan Project from Hell of yesteryear. Everybody's still fighting about it. Right, in Alice in Wonderland, the Treasure Cat and Alice brought to you, the consumer, on any pubic that arrived, the storyline of the Mad Hatter Tea Party. Oh my God, that's like going to Manhattan or England. I'm trying to have, as a cutter, machine shop, anything respectable, rigid, like, no, we know I don't come off the water much. Yeah, well, when you go on land in England, oh my God, you come from rigid, handsome, respectable, and you go to England, it is like attending Alice in Wonderland's Mad Hatter. They're like, hey, what's some tea, fella? They have no fucking clue what the danger is that lurks just around outside of the Sea of Tranquility, where they're all hopped up on some kind of like happy yesterday, like we're all friends. Yeah, that's not how the real world works, but right, okay, got it. So, and then there's, no, put that back on. Then there's Manhattan, which is where I arrived, unfortunately. And if you don't know, I was told that there are Hasidic Jews. They have black hats. They wear black respectable garb, G-A-R-B, white shirts. They kind of look like urban Amish. They have usually a curl or whatever. I don't know the respectable parts of that, so we're not going too far into it. But there's like a whole Hasidic community somewhere in Brooklyn. They stayed out of Queens because it was a little too colostomy of kids they didn't like. So now, that's how that works. But now when I say like a respectable man from Texas, I'm thinking like a cowboy hat, not like the Manhattan Mad Tea Party. Okay, because in Manhattan it's M-A-N, then it's hat, H-A-T, and then it's tan, T-A-N. So it's a man's hat dance. Yeah, it's a little Yiddish in there in case you didn't catch that the first time. Did anybody see Fiddler on the Roof? Because I don't know the storyline, but there's your visual for what does a Hasidic look like. Right, okay, so that's where, like, in Europe, we call it, in my area, we call it violin. In the hillbilly section of my people, which we also go to visit because we're in charge of both subsets, they call it a fiddle. Now, banjo is a Don Juan special because, believe it or not, the people that follow really handsome, respectable New York Cup of Joe, that I enjoy his stormy, angry, essence, which is appropriate for this version of New York that him and I are locked into and hate, the band of Polynesian asshole children that like to cause trouble to make money, to promote only themselves and their devious future and break everybody's family genetics and time and space, while saying, it wasn't us, she's just racist and hateful. And that's not actually how it works, but right, okay. They, for some reason, it's like Joe's the Pied Piper, just for being his awesome self, and they just keep showing up, and he's like, what the fuck is going, why? Like, do I have like a Korean charm or something? Yeah, I don't fucking know, Joe. I'd ask an Indian in the Cobra territory, like playing a pipe and getting them come out of the basket for you. I have no idea how that magic works. Anyway, so let's think about this. All right, so now, right, we got Manhattan. The name Manhattan is not Indian. It's Hebronic. It's the man with the hat. I gotta go ask a man about a hat. Yeah, usually, where do you find them? Well, I don't know what kind of hat. You want like 10-gallon hat? You want like the cap? You need a triangle, something colonial. Like, I mean, again, I'm not the guy. I forget the name of the hat shop guy, right? Whatever. But you've got the Hasidic with a short. It's not a, right, I mean, along the lines of Abraham Lincoln, but he had the tall hat, right? They have short, and then it comes out with the brim. Then the Cowboys, they got a different version of that, and usually they're like, what, tan and white? Some are black, but, right, then you got to put something fancy on it, because you don't want to get confused if somebody's writing a description and get you confused with someone else in whatever. Let's think about this. So, are we talking like, that's why I ask a lot of questions, because you humans are really fucking confusing when you tell a story, and when you write shit down to document, you never document it right or well, which is part of the problem with one history. It happened one way, and even though you swear you all need to learn how to read and write, the nebulae department are never sure why. Because even when we teach you, you don't speak, think, talk, or write properly for what we need. Especially if you're going to start moving criminals everywhere and then make them aficionados. That's not a cross-thatch. Like, they're not approved to go from problem area to the innocent kids that don't know any better. Yeah, imagine we have to put like a certain caliber on that screw and rod, right? And then here's the other thing. They say things like, well, but sweetheart, you know that like there's girls that they're like really crazy girls, no less. They chase airmen. And I'm like, they chase, now like, okay, you're going to have to slow that down for me. They chase airmen, like, how? They're like, well, they like to find out where they hang out and then hang out there to run into them, and they're psychotic. And I'm like, right, now here's my question. How is it that the floozies and the like biddies are able to figure out how to find an airman, yet I belong and was threaded in the machine shop for a rod, and I'm the wing whatever that belongs to him already, and I can't find a single useful human, a single useful Hasidic, a single useful man in any form of a hat. For 42 years, there has been zero aid or help for my actual appearance and situation that is so serious. And I don't owe humans an explanation. What this is documenting my tracked lineage and linear to take care of the mass extinction problem and asphyxiation problem, so I don't have to stay and be subjected to your, like, incessant need to kill one another. And so I can breathe properly. Because there is nothing about this life that I have lived that has been soft, kind, or like caring in any way. Everybody's been liars, cheats, thieves. They care only for a second until they get the answer they need, and then they leapfrog that to better themselves and leave me in a worse, detrimental position than before. So do I really like humans? No, absolutely fucking not. I haven't met any of you that I would keep.